So, welcome back to another episode of CPaaSAA Talks. This time with Jonathan Bean, the CMO at Sinch. Excited to have you here, Jonathan.
Good to be with you, Rob. Always fun to catch up.
Yes, it is, and we have a lot to catch up, I think. Let's talk a little bit in the next 10 minutes or so about, let's say, Sinch and your journey, RCS AI, maybe touch on network APIs, definitely talk about MWC Barcelona and what's to be expected there. And then we'll end with a little discussion about Arcave and the importance of that. So let's start with a little bit of an intro. Who's Jonathan Bean and what's your journey so far? And what's the journey of Sinch?
Well, apart from being a father of 3 kids and still happily married, even though explosive CPaaS growth over 5 years, essentially I'm the CMO of Sinch, leader in digital customer communications, 175,000 plus customers, 800 billion customer interactions that we power around the globe across messaging, voice, email. And present in about 64 locations. I think, if I was just to summarize Sinch's journey, started very much founded in 2008 and started in the messaging, purely in the sort of messaging space, and has now grown to be a global leader in what we call digital customer communications. We've obviously co-created the CPaaS market, the cloud communications market, with a lot of other, CPaaS Acceleration Alliance members, and super excited to see where the market is going now. I head up a happy band of marketing folks over at Sinch. We're about 4,000 Sinchers worldwide now. It's a lot different from the Sinch I joined in 2019, which was a few hundred bandits in Stockholm, and now truly a global organization serving a global customer base, and in the exciting area of digital customer communication.
Yeah, that's great. In 5 years, from a few hundred to a couple thousand, only 5 years. So you already mentioned this, let's say the roots are in messaging, and now we're shifting to digital experiences, engagement, customer experience, all these different terms. And I think one of the big that we see in the market right now is, say, the rise of RCS. Right, since Apple sort of embraced it last year, it's finally kicking off, you could say. And of course, AI, Gen AI is all over the place. What's your view of those developments and where things are going?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of really exciting developments particularly over the last 12 months in the cloud communications space. I mean, if I just peel it right back, it's still about customer experience, right? It's still about, us as consumers, we want a great customer experience, but there's so many different ecosystem players. And this is what I think is probably one of the most important things for all of us in cloud communications to understand. And you guys are doing a great job there at CPaaS Acceleration Alliance, bringing this ecosystem together. So we have consumers, we have us, what we expect on a day-to-day basis through our telephones or our digital interactions. We've got the businesses and the brands, i.e. our customers, that are looking to provide those. You've got the different CX platforms, out there that either, provide these services themselves or rely on cloud communications providers. We have cloud communications providers ourselves, that create the platform to enable this all to happen, all of these billions of interactions across the world. And then we have the suppliers to the cloud communication platforms, and that can be, telecom operators around the world. That can be so-called over-the-top players like Meta or others around the world. That can be inbox providers if you're looking at email, and that can be all of the various different AI companies. So it's truly exciting now what has happened with this ecosystem, coming together. And essentially, what do people want, right? So we want to be engaged. Brands want to engage us, and we do actually want to be engaged with things that are actually relevant. We want to be informed, if we're on an airline or we're waiting for a package to be delivered or something like that, we want to be informed of what's going on and have a good experience. We want to be safe, right? We want to not be, subject to fraud, a huge issue for the industry and something that everyone is really doubling down on. And at the end of the day, we want to be happy and loyal to whatever brand that we may be following. So you've got that kind of entire customer journey. And I think some of the latest developments, you talk about RCS there, you talk about AI, that's what's really improving all of those things. If you take about RCS, you know, the initial sort of RCS, we've done about 1 billion interactions in RCS with huge growth rates in 2024. That is trusted. You know, that is a branded message, which is trusted. And that is very, very powerful. What else is powerful about RCS? Well, it's really adding rich media. It's creating conversational experiences, which are very, very, you know, engaging, and the conversion rates that we're seeing customers, you know, have with RCS way in excess of, you know, messaging, you know, 160 characters, but it comes with the same ubiquity. It is on your phone, so it's very, very powerful. And I think we're just seeing the beginning of that. And then when it comes to AI, you talk about sort of generative AI, and sure, you know, we're all putting generative AI into our different platforms and experiences. But when you look at sort of, I would say, agentic AI, you know, when you're looking at actually, you know, putting, you know, AI into all the experiences we're creating with our customers, you're really creating conversational experiences for each of these customers where they can deliver value through delivering the right message at the right time, with the right, you know, if it is rich media, you know, it's rich media, you know, if it is, you know, a specific answer to a specific question that eases, you know, a customer's pain point. So I think we're entering into a world where, you know, customers are looking at the total joined up customer experience, and not just looking at like a per message or a per channel experience or cost or things like that. And that's what I'm truly excited about.
Yeah, that's great. And I also like what you said about trust all the time, right? It's a lot about trust, and there have been some issues in the industry last couple of years. RCS is about trust. Clearly, with AI, we have some question marks really about all the different angles and aspects of AI, I would say, and that's very, very, very important to work on. But the other thing is, you mentioned telcos and the role of the operators in this ecosystem. RCS is an operator supported, provided standard, basically. But also want to talk a little bit about network APIs, because I think that's the thing where telcos are starting to be a player in this game again. The network APIs help add trust to engagement, and give them a different perspective and a different role in the communication. Now, MWC is coming up. I know you were part of the Ericsson pre-MWC announcements earlier this week around their Aduna launch as well. So tell us a little bit about MWC, network APIs, and how you see that out.
Yeah, excited to be down at Barcelona with the rest of the ecosystem, right? And I think that is the most important thing when it comes to either the topic of RCS, which is very big in the cloud communication world, or network APIs. And we're very positive to the moves that, you know, Ericsson have really been driving in terms of bringing this ecosystem together, creating the joint venture, you know, in Aduna, and, you know, looking to engage all of us, you know, cloud communications providers as part of that, and also bring, you know, it's very, very strong to see, you know, 12 of the largest, you know, carriers, telecom operators around the world come together in a joint ownership structure. Because I think, you know, if you're a cynic of this world, you can look at lots of telecoms JVs that have been announced with great, you know, crescendo and haven't quite, you know, gone where people have wanted them to do. But I think it's really the recognition of the need to bring this ecosystem together, to have joint ownership. It's never about technology standardization. I think we'll get the technology right. It will be standardized, but it's about understanding what customers want. We were together there with a small fintech in London that's starting to use some of these network APIs. What do they want? They want, you know, reliable APIs. They want well-documented APIs, but they want APIs that, you know, have global reach and standards. And I think if you come from a messaging world, every different mobile operator has a very different context to operate within their own national market. They have different regulations to, you know, bring together. And I think an organism like Aduna bringing operators together, and then being able to and say, hey, this is how the cloud communications, you know, market, this is how we need to standardize, not just the technology, we'll get there with the technology, but also the commercialization, and have a common approach to that. Then I think we can look at, you know, things like mobile identity, authentication and verification, which is a use case, as I said, we want to be safe as consumers. How can we, and SIM-based verification, is, extremely good. And how can we evolve this together to create great experiences? And then there are a lot of other, more advanced use cases from a network API perspective, whether you're talking about, quality of service or quality on demand, know your customer, location, different, APIs there. And even if you, edge out to edge computing. But I think the point I made in London was it's about building trust within that ecosystem, the demand side, the supply side. Start with something simple, start with something that's already there, for example, on the verification, side, and then build that trust. And I think the really interesting thing there is it's the same with RCS, right? It's the same with RCS. Are we going to get the commercialization of RCS, correct? The different use cases from, basic RCS to fully conversational experiences, and the different, the different commercialization models that you can. I'm sure there'll be a lot of testing and a lot of experimentation, over the next year as it truly does take off. But we believe it really is a renaissance of the messaging world. We see that with customers who are all kind of reassessing their different customer experiences due to RCS and the possibilities that it's bringing. A lot of customers learning from, Latin America or India, where, those WhatsApp experiences have really delivered, great return on value for customers as well. So I think my message is really, and the thing around Barcelona is ecosystem, engaging with brands, engaging with other cloud communication providers. That's what you guys are so good at, bringing us together and pushing the market forward, engaging with telecom operators, engaging with CX platform providers to push the industry on.
Yeah, I love what you say about the ecosystem. I mean, we started the Alliance a couple of years ago with that vision, right? To bring these different parts of the world together, not just the telcos, not just the CPaaS providers, but really the whole mix of all these companies. And we're seeing a tremendous growth in the Alliance these last 2 years, of course. And one of the things I wanted to talk about really quick as the last thing here is in Barcelona. I'm really excited that you guys are sponsoring and hosting a nice lunch for the leadership of the Alliance, which is a group of visionaries basically from across these different industries. We'll be with about, 10 or 12 people maybe, having lunch, talking about basically the state of CPaaS. Where's this stuff going, right? What do we need to do? How do we need to maybe fix some issues, the things that we talked about just now. So I want to thank you for doing that and for making that possible. And I also want to sort of in 1 minute get your thoughts on, or your hopes maybe. What would you hope to get out of that session in Barcelona and into that state of CPaaS report that will be launching in maybe in Q2?
Yeah, so I think it's all about, understanding where the different players in this ecosystem are, right, and what the challenges are. Something that was quite interesting, just a few days ago when we were talking with what can be learned from the growth of CPaaS over the last 10 years. There are very good relationships with, all of the different cloud communications providers, and we truly, we share a lot of customers together. We have a lot of things in common to sort of push forward. And, we have this spirit of collaboration, sure, competition, but also sort of collaboration and pushing the market forward. And that's why CPaaS has, we said we believe it's a, $85 billion industry, or at least digital customer communications is going to about $130 billion industry. And that has really, been grown out of kind of ecosystem, collaboration and pushing forward. Quite frankly, it's opposite to how a lot of telecom operators have operated, in the past. They've very much been on their territories and haven't cooperated as well, at least from a commercialization perspective. Technology standardization, again, doing that. So I think it's actually engaging with each of the ecosystem players, in the market, looking at the area of convergence, because these industries are kind of converging. If you look at telco, and if you look at, when we took the digital customer communications industry and we looked at what the suppliers actually generate around about 67% of all of that spend, all of that digital spend goes to suppliers. And the vast majority of those suppliers today are telcos. So how do we actually increase that share of wallet and those revenue streams for telcos, but also other providers? How can we all play our part in a converging industry? And then, of course, there are some specifics when we look at conversational experiences powered by, whether it's an RCS agent or a WhatsApp agent or some other agent. What is our attitude to security and fraud? Again, will always be top of the agenda for all of the leaders in CPaaS, and what can we do to prevent that, and how can we use AI? Again, you talk about generative AI, but I think most of us are using AI very much to prevent fraud now as well, and making strides there. And then really about the commercialization, and how we see that the experimentation going on over the next 12 months as we try and provide value to all of our customers, and ultimately to us as consumers. We want these great experiences coming through, which are safe, but also which are engaging and make our lives easier, and we've all got a part to play. So that's the conversation I would like to, where do people see that they are struggling? Where do they need help? And also, what can we do to, grow this market together?
Excellent. Sounds great. I look forward to talking and having a great lunch in Barcelona. I look forward to chatting again after the event, because I'm sure we'll all come back with a lot of new insights and thought. It was great to have you here, Jonathan, and I see you soon.
Thanks so much, Rob. Take care.